Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gerdes, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
Well, for those of you who live on the west side of Maricopa or of the Phoenix area, cities like Avondale, Goodyear, Litchfield Park, Surprise, you're getting another factory there by a company called Factor. They are a ready-to-eat meal delivery service, similar to like a HelloFresh. They are bringing 800 new jobs to Goodyear. I think one of the mistakes that people make, because I get asked this, and I know you guys do, and Ryan, I know you do, because I've been in these same conversations where people will go, well, have you considered investing in a different market, or what keeps you from investing in other markets? And we have gone outside Arizona. But one of the key factors that I am constantly looking at and researching that a lot of investors or a lot of home owners don't consider, or people think, I'm going to buy a place in this state and that state and this state, is jobs. And this headline, and the headline reads, Factor facility brings more than 800 new jobs to Goodyear. This is not a uncommon headline for us to read.
All up and down the 303 and west side I-10, and I mean all the way out to Chandler, all over the valley. We're seeing huge facilities going up. And it's funny. The 303, I'm looking at it. And do you remember when it was first built? You know,
there was nothing else.
It was Cotton Lane.
It was well, I'm saying as it was built, it was 5 lanes. It's 5 lanes on either side, and we're looking at it and we're like, what do we need all these lanes for?
It's a little overkill.
And then I was just out there yesterday, and I'm like, I'll bet they're gonna have to widen that in the next 10 years.
Seriously, yeah, it's amazing how much traffic is on there
after
now.
building after building, whether it's Boeing or what is it?
The chip factory.
TSMC. You know, and then now we have another RTE. RTE way better than MREs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they have burgers?
I've never used a ready-to-eat meal service. There was one company, and I can't remember the name of it. They were a client of my wife's, and we would go and prepare our meals there and take them home with us. And I didn't realize until years later, it was right across the street from Magnum's, and all those.
For everyone out there, Magnum's is our favorite cigar and whiskey lounge.
It doesn't sound.
It's not what you think it is. Okay.
We're not talking about that kind of factory, the Magnum's factory. And so all those times I went, I could have just dropped my wife off and gone across the street. So, but I mean, have you guys ever have food delivered to your house that you have to prepare? Because the food that's delivered to my house comes in a box, and it's hot and it's ready to eat.
Oh wow!
No,
I haven't.
We do Hungry Root, and so we go online and you tell them what kind of food you like or dislike, and then what if there's a special diet, and then they send it over and
like a dating app for food.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's all really high quality ingredients. You do have to cook it. It usually never takes more than 30 minutes from prep to on the table, and they send it over in one of those like disposable coolers. And then the ice packs, when they melt, they're plant food.
Oh, cool!
So you throw them on your trees and on your plants, and it helps them grow. So I thought it was a pretty cool concept.
I find that surprising. The reason that I don't do it is because I just like to cook so much.
I like to,
and
I
know
cook too.
you're Ryan.
Yeah.
I hate to compliment him on air.
Well, he's an amazing cook.
But you're an amazing cook. And maybe because you just don't half-ass any meal. I mean, and so you probably can't cook like that every night, But I that's the thing that keeps me back from these ready-to-eat meal delivery services.
Yeah, no, I take it and I Ryanize it. I may, add this or take that out and have fun with it. But moral of the story is these have been taking over major markets by storm.
Yeah.
I know that our friends in Vegas and our friends in LA and Seattle and whatnot, they use these services like crazy. And so it's not just Phoenix specific, but when you are out there making a decision about what type of model you should be considering for your real estate investments, employment and utility should play a major role in that, because
it adds value.
It adds value, and it's not going to go away. When is the last time you said, you know what, we're going to eminent domain this freeway to bring in more homes?
For sure.
No, don't work like that. So those freeways and that utility.
They ought to do that in L.A. There's a couple freeways that we need to eminent domain.
Yeah, they need to eminent domain some just rubble, just start over. To be fair, some places here too. But you get the idea, is that when you're making a decision about what type of model you're going to do, is making sure that the job force is there to not only sustain what you have going on there, but that's going to spur growth in the future. Case in point, the Ahwatukee area. I mean, that was landlocked for so long. The only way in and out was Ray Road. I mean, I guess you could take Chandler Road, but they all led to basically, they all merged into one point, and then they put in the 202. That is a game changer for what it does for your investment out there.
So again, Factor is building a 300,000 square foot facility in Goodyear, Arizona, bringing 800 new jobs. Justin, going back to just the investment side and then the seller side, because I want to talk to people who are thinking about selling their home and buying another home. We always say, hey, consider hanging on to that home, turn it into an income-producing property. People go, well, I don't want to be a landlord. Okay, well, listen, we are a prime job market. But when I read 800 new jobs, I know for a fact that it's not 800 top-level executive jobs, okay? I know that a lot of that 800 people, those new jobs, they're not ready to buy a home. They can't buy a home. And then a lot of times people come out here when they get these jobs or transfer, they need that interim rental situation. Let's talk about let's talk about the West Side right now and why it's such a great market to invest in. Whether you're going to become a long-term tenant or long-term rent, you're going to turn something into a long-term rental, short-term rental, or you're thinking about selling your home and hanging on to your home.
I mean, just like you said earlier, this is not the only factory that's being built right now. There's many of them, and you're absolutely right. When all these people are coming in, or they're getting out of high school or college and they're getting into these entry-level positions, or not going to college and taking these jobs in these factories, they may not be able to afford properties right now. Maybe they don't have a down payment saved up. There's lots of renters within this 800. There's got to be 80% of them that are going to be renting to start off with, right? I mean, I feel like that's a solid number when you talk about positions like these.
Well, I also think you can't assume all 800 of these jobs are going to be transfers, so there are going to be people here. But, I mean, we get the point.
Yeah, coming out of school and getting into these entry-level positions and working in the factory cooking food, boxing it up. Yeah, absolutely. But you're absolutely right. I feel like this is exactly what you want to hear when you are considering buying an investment property. The growth in the valley it just continues to happen year over year. We get all kinds of companies moving here, not only for the cost of having a corporation here, but also for the cost of living too. It's relatively low compared to a lot of different large cities, and I talk about this all the time with some of my clients from out of state that are transferring here. Isn't it wild that the cost of water here is cheaper than it is in like Colorado
or California
where it actually rains?
Yeah,
Well, listen, I'm never shocked that anything costs more money in California. I mean, everything's just taxed to high heaven out there.
Yeah, and like pool chemicals are so expensive. I went in because my pool was turning a little bit green, and they said, "Oh yeah, because it's a 72,000 gallon pool. It's massive. It's like a lake." And they said, "Yeah, if you want to get it clear again, it's going to cost you $600 worth of chemicals." And I said, I'm draining the pool.
Let's start over.
I drained the pool. I'm not kidding.
Just start over.
It's going to cost me.
Where
like
do you put that much water?
Yeah, it'll cost me like $350 to refill the pool. I'm like, gee, I'm no mathematician, but no, that's a great point. But I think that stable real estate markets and stable investments, they do have a diverse workforce.
Yeah.
So if all there is the Nikes and the TSMCs and the Boeings in one specific area, then you really price out all of the market other than the white collar, right? And so having companies like this, like I have an investor, he only buys where QT buys land within
Really?
1 mile, because that's how much R&D they put into
Makes
where
sense.
they're going to buy. And they also look at Costco. Costco does a shit ton of R&D before they do any of their acquisitions. And so they're like, hey, if it's good enough for these these high-end economists and attorneys and analysts and so on, and all these different people
Wherever they're putting their money, I'm gonna put it there.
then they've already spent the money on developing a model that has more than flourished. Why not just piggyback off of that intelligence?
Well, it's all about options. It's all about knowing the areas to take advantage of and what's coming and going, and more importantly, where jobs are going. We'd love to have that discussion with you. All you got to do is text the word Goodyear to 623AZ-RECON. That's Goodyear to 623AZ-RECON. I've always been from an investment standpoint, I've always been a huge fan of the town of Buckeye. Over the years, I've made a lot of money selling homes in Buckeye, investing in real estate in Buckeye, and so forth. But to your point, I don't know if you saw this, right off the I-10 and Verrado off-ramp, literally you can see it from the freeway. They just put in a ginormous Costco. Mm-hmm. And when I was driving past that, I had the same thought. I'm like, boy, I got to start paying attention again, because they know stuff that we don't.
Well, on the commercial side, we look at anchors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and some anchors bring in business and some anchors follow business. So companies like Target, they more or less follow business. They say, you know what, we're not moving in there unless we already have a population of X within Y amount of miles radius of us. So they're following the population, they're following the business, and they're happy to pay a premium to move in there after the fact, because they know that they don't need to have as much ramp up. Whereas companies like Costco, they're like, we're doing the Field of Dreams method. If we build it, they will come, right? And they do. Because I even walk into that Costco and Surprise, and there's still 8 people in line before I get up there, and there's 10 lanes open. It's busy, and check it out. They're probably going to be building another one out, like in Fiesta before we know it. That's if you're not familiar with where Fiesta is, that's even another 10, 15 miles past Surprise. It's one of those things. So, moral of the story is understanding which anchors are doing the one that are driving business and which anchors are the ones following business, and use that. It's good information.
That's great information.
You need to know what's coming and going. You need to know what the plans are. I mean, it's part of what we do as real estate wealth managers and advising not only our buyers. This is sometimes we get so heavy investor centered, and it's because even if you don't own a home, you're buying your first home.
It's exciting.
But even if you don't own a home, you're buying your first home, we treat you as an investor, because this is the start of building your real estate portfolio. But we do a lot of that due diligence. We're familiar with what's going on, but the whole point of this is it's one of the key things if you're going to invest anywhere. Now, obviously, if you're buying a Airbnb somewhere, the entertainment sector and the climate and travel and tourism is most important. But if you're looking to live somewhere, you're looking to buy something, you're looking to invest in something and turn it into a long-term rental, you got to pay attention to jobs. You got to pay attention to companies who are coming in.
Well, going back over to like the short-term rental stuff, every single city or every single metropolis, they have different industry, right? We used to be the 7 C's. $20 if you can name them all.
It was the 6 C's.
Was it 6?
Yeah.
Or 7?
Okay. It was 6. It's copper, citrus, climate, cattle. That's all I can remember.
Cotton.
I
I don't know. We're gonna burn a bunch of time trying to figure out my kids would fire through it like that. But
Yeah.
moral of the story is you got to understand what industry that each and every single one of these cities offer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, we now depend greatly on tourism. Everyone comes here for golf. They come here for spring training. They come here for the Grand Canyon. They come here for the fact that they can
The winters.
travel 2 hours and go from the low desert to the high mountains up in Flagstaff. I mean, there's all kinds of really cool things about Arizona. But if you're in Pittsburgh, right, then you're looking at manufacturing, right? And so what areas lend itself best to the type of investment you're looking for that is going to house people in that industry, right? So just having an understanding of the landscape that you're trying to invest in. The good news about here is that we are not landlocked. Whenever we're running out of real estate, we just drive a little bit further, right? We have a saying here: you drive till you qualify. Because if it's too expensive here, just go another mile down the road, 2 miles down the road, and prices are going to decrease by 5-7%.
Well, whether you're looking at buying your first home or you're looking to invest in real estate, there's so many great areas in Maricopa County and the Phoenix area to consider. But I always have my eyes on the west side. I love Buckeye. I love Goodyear. I love Surprise. I love those areas for investment purposes and for living purposes as well. But there's so many factors, so many things that go into it. If you'd like to learn more, go ahead and text the word Goodyear to 623-AZ-RECON. That's Goodyear to 623-AZ-RECON.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.